Add-on desired.
Hello viewers, welcome to Addod Solutions Daily Current Affairs. I'm Lokesh Pengonda. This session is designed for aspirants who are preparing for banking, groups and such other competitive examinations. We cover news articles from both the Hindu and the Indian Express. Make use of this session. So our first article is dealing with the social media and the safe harbor. This week we have seen the coming into the force of the intermediary guidelines and the digital media ethics code. So the intermediary guidelines and the digital media ethics code has come into force, and the union government and the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has stated that if the social media platforms, the instant messaging applications like WhatsApp, Telegram and the OTT platforms, if any of these are not following or not working according to the new guidelines that have come into force, they will lose the indemnity or the safe harbor clause. So we'll see first what are the provisions that have come due to this new guidelines. First, these new guidelines mandate the social media, OTT and instant messaging platforms to have compliance officer, to have a grievance redressal officer, and also to have a nodal contact person. Many of the times citizens, mainly those who use the social media platforms, might have some grievances with these platforms. They want to bring down some information that is available on these platforms that may be damaging to these individuals, but they might not able to contact these platforms because of lack of grievance redressal officers, because of lack of nodal contact persons. So to overcome this problem, the union government has mandated through these guidelines that the social media and other OTT platforms should mandatorily have these grievance officer, nodal officer and the contact person. Next is the compliance officer. Union government and judiciary sometimes passes some orders to remove a content which is available in the social media platforms. Sometimes people might post offensive content, sometimes people might post hate content, sometimes they just might share fake news on various social media platforms. That may be Facebook, that may be Telegram, or that may be even Twitter. But due to lack of compliance officers, these orders might not be complied by these social media platforms. So to prevent this problem and to overcome this problem, the new guidelines mandate the social media platforms to have a compliance officer, so that whatever orders that have been passed by the government and the judiciary, he can comply to these orders. Next, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has stated that every month these social media and other OTT platforms should provide a report to the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and this monthly report should mention how many complaints that have come to these platforms, how many complaints have been resolved. So the monthly report by these platforms is also mandatory. Next is, if the government asks any instant messaging apps or any social media platforms to find out the first source of some information, then they have to provide it. So they have to identify and tell the government the first information sharing or first information providing person. In the last few years, what we have seen is many individuals using social media and using instant messaging apps are trying to propagate hate speeches, trying to propagate fake news and trying to propagate negative things about the India, which may be negatively affecting the sovereignty of the country. So to identify such persons, to punish such persons, the government has brought this new rule where the instant messaging apps and the social media platforms have to tell the government who has first uploaded some illegal content to the website if the government requests such information. So these are the 3 rules that have come into force apart from other rules that have come into force through these guidelines, and the government has stated that failure to comply with these rules will be indemnifying the safe harbor clause that the social media and other instant messaging platforms enjoy. So what is this safe harbor or indemnity clause that the social media and the instant messaging apps currently enjoy? The Section 79 of the Information Technology Act states that an intermediary shall not be liable for any third-party information, data or communication link made available or hosted by them. So what does this Section 79 mean? Section 79 states that if information that is available on the social media platform, but this information is not brought by the social media platform, rather it was uploaded, rather it was shared by someone, then even though this news or even though this information or content is illegal, but still the intermediary, that may be the social media platform, will not be liable for any punishment, will not be liable for any penalty. We'll see this with an example. Let's assume that there is a person called as Ram. Person Ram, by using the Facebook, that is a social media platform, has been trying to propagate fake news, has been trying to propagate hate news. So he is trying to propagate fake and other hate news that will be affecting the community of India at large in a negative way. So he might be using the Facebook to do so, and the government through this Section 79 of the IT Act 2000 has stated that even if the Facebook app is being used by this person to do all these illegal things, the Facebook will not have to be liable. That means the Facebook will not be penalized, but the Facebook will not be punished for storing, for sharing any information that may be illegal. So this is the indemnity clause the social media, the instant messaging apps currently enjoy, and the government has stated clearly that whichever platforms that are not following the new guidelines that have come into force, they would not get this safe harbor or indemnity provisions. That means if any social media platform is not providing the information the government is asking, if it is not following the rules according to the new intermediary guidelines, then if someone is using this intermediary to share some illegal news, then not only that person will be liable for penalty, but also the intermediary will be liable for penalty. This is with respect to the safe harbor the Section 79 of the Information Technology Act is providing. Next we have an article dealing with smoking in India and the world. That is India and the world observe World No Tobacco Day on May 31st. So ahead of this World No Tobacco Day, which is observed on May 31st, the organization called as the Global Burden on Disease Collaboration. So there is an organization called as Global Burden of Disease Collaboration. This has brought out several reports, and these reports are published in various medical journals. According to this report, it is stated that India has the second highest number of smokers who are in the age group of 15 to 24 years. So according to this report, India is the second highest country among the 15 to 24 year age group who smoke. Who is the first? Which is the first country? The first country who has the highest number of smokers is China. And according to this report, there are nearly 1.1 billion people in the world who smoke. That is 1.1 billion people are smokers in the world. And the top countries which are The countries which top the highest number of smokers are China, India, Indonesia, USA, Russia, Bangladesh, Japan, Turkey, Vietnam and Philippines. So this global burden of disease collaboration has stated that there are 10 countries that has nearly 75% of the tobacco smokers in the world. So this is with respect to this article and the World No Tobacco Day. Next we have an article dealing with a report published by the Lokniti along with CSDS. So there is a joint report published by the Lokniti along with CSDS Youth Studies. So there are two reports mainly. One report is for the 2007 year and we have the new report for 2016 year. And in this report there are some news which is dealing with several attitudes relating to the marriage in India. In the year 2007, 55% of the men, 55% of people were married, whereas in the year 2016, only 47% of the people in the world in India are married. That means there is a 8% drop in the number of people, those who are married. From this we can understand that people are marrying at late ages. That means people are postponing their marriage for a few years. And there are reports regarding the intercaste marriage and interreligious marriage. According to the 2016 report, nearly 33% of the people support intercaste marriages and 28% of the people support interreligious marriages. It might be, this data might be important when it comes to writing any essay in any competitive examination. Next we have an article dealing with fiscal support that the Confederation of Indian Industry is requesting. So we have an article written by Mr. Uday Kotak, who is the current president of the CII. That means the Confederation of Indian Industries. From the name itself you can understand that this is a body that is dealing with the Association of Indian Industries. That is true. So the CII, which stands for Confederation of Indian Industries, is a non-governmental body which is promoting the industry's interests in the country. This body was established in the year 1895. So nearly 125 years ago, this CII has been established, and the current president of this body is Mr. Uday Kotak, who is the chairman and CEO of Kotak Mahindra Bank. And according to him, the government should provide more fiscal support and the government should provide more credit line guarantee to MSME sector. So what is this credit line guarantee the government is providing to the MSME sector? So we have the MSME sector, that means the medium, small and micro enterprises sector, which is an important sector in the country because it provides for nearly 30% of the GDP in the country, and it provides jobs to millions of people in the country. And the government has brought a scheme called as emergency credit line guarantee scheme. So through this scheme, the government or the banks is extending credit, that is extending loans to the MSME sector. The government through the scheme is providing loans at a low interest rate, and also the moratorium on the principal amount is 2 years or 3 years. That means for 2 years or 3 years after you take a loan, you have to pay the principal amount. That is, for next 2 years, even after taking the loan, you have to pay only interest amount, which is a little bit small compared to normal interest, because the government is subsidizing this amount. So he is asking for more fiscal support and more credit loans to the MSME sector. Next we have an article which is dealing with the European Union going to the court regarding the AstraZeneca. So we have the AstraZeneca firm, which is a developer of the COVID-19 vaccine, which has been named as Covishield in India. In India, the vaccine which is developed by AstraZeneca is being produced locally by a firm called as the Serum Institute of India, and this AstraZeneca has went into an agreement with the European Union, which is a political and economical body of 27 European countries, and this AstraZeneca firm has promised the European Union that by the end of June it will provide 300 million vaccine doses, that is, it will provide 30 crore COVID-19 vaccine doses to this European Union body. But it has stated now that it is planning to provide only 100 million, that is, it is planning to provide only 10 crore of the COVID-19 vaccine, which is just 1/3 of the COVID vaccines that this firm has promised to provide to this organ. And now the European Union has filed a case in the court stating that as AstraZeneca has failed to live up to the promises, it amounts to contract breach, and the European Union is asking the court to punish the AstraZeneca by penalizing it through a heavy amount. So if you have a question which is asking the country or the organization which has went to the judiciary to penalize the AstraZeneca for its failure to provide COVID-19 vaccine, then you should know that it is the European Union which has done so. Next we have an article which is talking about India abstaining a vote on the UNHRC. So last month we have seen how there is huge ceasefire violations, and we have already seen how numerous people has lost lives in a conflict between the Israel and the Gaza territory, which is a territory of Palestine. So we have seen how the militants who are administering the territory of Gaza, which is a territory of Palestine, has attacked the country Israel after Israel using excessive force on the Palestinian people, and in return Israel also attacked the Gaza territory with missiles, and in this conflict nearly 200 Palestinians and 10 Israelis have lost their lives. Apart from losing of lives, this conflict has seen loss of livelihood, this have seen loss of many buildings in both the territories, and there is a resolution in the UN Human Rights Council stating that the Israel country has used excessive force and has attacked the territories of Palestine in a huge way, leading to the death of 200 Palestinians. And now the proposal is to start an inquiry regarding the Israel use of force on the Palestinian territories. And when this proposal has come up, India has abstained from participating in the vote. That means India did not vote when this resolution has come up, and the Palestine foreign minister has stated his disapproval and stated his dissatisfaction with the Indian envoy. Next we have an article where the Indian government has extended the tenure of chiefs of the Intelligence Bureau and the Research and Analysis Wing by 1 year. So we have the Intelligence Bureau chief, who is Mr. Arvind Kumar, and we have the secretary or the chief of Law Enforcement Agency. This RAW is headed by Mr. Samant Goel, and both of them are scheduled to retire in the next month, and now the union government has extended their tenure by 1 more year. You should note down these names. Next we have an article where the state of Kerala has announced a package for those children who has lost their parents due to the coronavirus. the coronavirus has struck the country and it has affected lives and livelihoods of millions of people in the country. And children who has lost their parents and became orphans are the most affected and the most suffering people currently. And various states, including the state of Kerala, has brought various packages to help these children. And the Kerala has brought a package where it has decided that it will provide nearly 3 lakh rupees to those children who has lost their parents, and it has also stated that it will provide rupees 2000 every month to those children who have lost their parents. And the Kerala government stated that this 2000 rupees a month will be provided to children till they reach the 18-year age group. So till they reach the 18 years, they will get rupees 2000 as month for month, and the 3 lakh will be a one-time amount. Next we have an article which is dealing with the Ministry of Culture and the problems the artists and the artisans facing in the country. So we have the Ministry of Culture, which is responsible for running various galleries, various museums, various academies. It is also running several institutions in the size of National School of Drama, Kalakshetra School and other cultural centers. But the Ministry of Culture, which is running all these institutions, is getting only 2,688 crores. So it has got only 2,700 crores nearly for the financial year 21 to 22 in the budget. And the author is stating that this is just nearly 1.5 times the Rafale jet. So Indian government, we have seen how it has bought 30 Rafale jets from France, and each Rafale jet costs nearly 1,700 crores. That means the Ministry of Culture is getting just the amount which amounts to 1.5 Rafale jets. And the author is stating that this is just a meager amount, considering the fact that millions of artists and millions of artisans in the country have been negatively affected due to the coronavirus. And the author has been stating that the ministry's mission, called as National Mission on Cultural Mapping, National Mission on Cultural Mapping, has also largely failed to help the artists and artisans in the country. So we'll see about this National Mission on Cultural Mapping. This is a mission launched by the Ministry of Culture in the year 2015. So nearly 7 years back, this mission has been launched by the Ministry of Culture. The aim of this mission is to ensure that all the artists, artisans in the country's names and details are mentioned, are collected through this mission. So all the artists' details will be collected and will be available under this National Mission on Cultural Mapping. And the author is stating that due to not following the rules and due to not collection of the details of the artists and artisans in the country, the government could not provide any help to them. So if you assume that the government has all the details of artists and artisans in the country, then it might help these people in the coronavirus pandemic by providing some additional help. That may be providing money, that may be providing rations. But now, as there is no details of these artists and artisans, which was originally supposed to be collected under this mission, the government and even the private organizations which want to help these people could not do so. So the author is stating that the Ministry of Culture's budget should be increased manifold, and this National Mission for Cultural Mapping also should be promoted in a big way in the coming up days. Next we have an article where the National Green Tribunal has taken a suo motu case regarding the illegal construction at Mekadatu. So where is this Mekadatu? In the image you can see where Mekadatu is. it is a place near to the Karnataka Tamil Nadu border, and the government of Karnataka has proposed a construction of a dam near this Mekadatu place on the Kaveri river. So we have the Kaveri river which flows from the Karnataka to the Tamil Nadu, and the Karnataka government has brought a proposal for construction of a dam so that it can store some water in its own territory before this water reach the Tamil Nadu state. And there was numerous report regarding the starting of construction of a dam near this place, and the NGT, that is the National Green Tribunal, after knowing about these illegal constructions, has taken up a case on its own. That is, it has taken up a case by suo motu, that is on its own, and it has brought, or it has appointed a joint committee. So this joint committee will inquire and will visit this place and will publish a report to the National Green Tribunal. And if the report mentions about the illegal construction, then it means that the Karnataka government has started some construction without the permission of the Ministry of Forest, without the permission of the National Green Tribunal. So why would the Karnataka government require their approval? Because this Mekadatu area is filled with many forests. So if you want to construct a dam, you have to remove these forested areas. So the forests and the animals living in this forest would be negatively affected, and for that reason the Ministry of Forest and the National Green Tribunal's approval would be necessary. And the NGT has stated that if we come to know that there is illegal construction, then we will penalize the state of Karnataka. Next, we have an article where the union government has stated that it has yet to receive the draft regulation. Earlier in our current affairs sessions, we have seen how the Lakshadweep administration has brought out the Lakshadweep Development Authority Regulation. So this is a regulation or a body the Lakshadweep administration has brought, and they has enabled this body with many powers, including the power to relocate people and take over their land. So if this body feels that there needs to be some infrastructure constructed on particular land, and if it feels that there are people living in this land, then this body has power to relocate these people and take away their lands regarding this place. So it is given extensive powers by the Lakshadweep administration, and now the Union Ministry has stated that the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Cabinet's approval would be needed to bring into force such a body. So what the ministry is stating that without our approval you cannot bring in such a body. So technically this Lakshadweep Development Authority regulation has not come into force. Next, we have an article dealing with the Indian Broadcasting Foundation. The Indian Broadcasting Foundation is the apex body of broadcasters. It is the apex body of broadcasters. And now it has stated that it will rename its name from the Indian Broadcasting Foundation to the Indian Broadcasting and Digital Foundation. It stated that it will change its name from IBF to IBDF. That means the Indian Broadcasting and Digital Foundation. This is due to the reason of the IBF getting more powers regarding the regulation of digital streaming platforms as well. So earlier this Indian Broadcasting Foundation is just apex body of television broadcasters. Now it will be able to regulate the digital broadcasters as well. That is the digital streaming apps, that may be the Amazon Prime, that may be the Netflix, that may be G++ platform, and we'll see some important provisions, important organizations that come under this body. The IBF or the Indian Broadcasting Foundation is a parent organization for the Broadcasting Content and Complaints Council. So let's assume that you are watching an entertainment channel and you have a problem regarding the content that is being displayed through this channel. Then you can get into contact with the Broadcasting Content Complaints Council and you can file your complaint here so that this complaint could be resolved later. So this is the important function this Indian Broadcasting Foundation does, and now it has stated that it will look into the content-related complaints from not only the television channels which are non-news channels, but also will look into content-related complaints of digital streaming applications as well. So if you are watching some movie on Amazon Prime, then if you are not satisfied or if you have any problems relating to the content which is being showed in the Amazon Prime, then you can contact this Indian Broadcasting Foundation, which has been renamed as Indian Broadcasting and Digital Foundation. So, and it will look into your complaint and it will try to resolve the issue. Next we have an article where a Congress Member of Parliament has been seeking the revival of MP LAD scheme. So what is this MP LAD scheme? MP LAD scheme was formulated way back in the year 1993. The scheme provides a power as to the MP to recommend development works in their own constituencies. So it empowers the members of parliament, the MPs of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, to provide some construction and for creation of durable community assets. These may be drinking water infrastructure, primary education, health, sanitation and roads. So all these bodies, all these buildings can be constructed through the MP LAD scheme. The MP LAD scheme provides 5 crores to each MP of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and the MP can recommend the construction of durable community assets by using this amount. And you should know that this MP LAD scheme is under the control of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So we'll see again in brief regarding the MP LAD scheme. This is a scheme which will provide 5 crore rupees a year, 5 crore rupees a year to each MP of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. This 5 crore is not given to the MP per se, but the MP can recommend the construction or creation of durable community assets, and this 5 crore per year would be used for the construction of these infrastructure the MP would recommend. And when the COVID pandemic has struck the country, the Parliament has taken a decision. This is to suspend the MP LAD scheme for the year 2020 and for the year 2021. So why is this scheme suspended for 2 years? The Union government has stated that by suspending this scheme, the Union government will save nearly 8,000 crores. Will save 8,000 crores. And it stated that this amount can be used for other purposes. That's why this scheme has been suspended for 2 years, and now an MP from the Congress political party is requesting the Parliament and the government to revive the scheme. Next we have an article where the French president is asking the forgiveness for the Rwandan genocide. So what is this Rwandan genocide? That is seen in the news. In the year 1994, Hutu extremists have massacred people belonging to the Tutsi ethnic group. What we need to understand is that Rwanda, you can see in this image, is a landlocked African country, and there are mainly people living from 2 ethnic groups. So we have the Hutu ethnic group and we have the Tutsi ethnic group. The Hutu ethnic group contribute or account for 85% of the population. So the majority of the population living in the country of Rwanda is from Hutu ethnic group, whereas we have one more ethnic group called as the Tutsi ethnic group, and nearly 15% of the population living in the country of Rwanda belongs to this Tutsi community. And in the year 1994, the extremists of the Hutu ethnic group, that is the extremist from the majority ethnic group, has massacred or killed in large numbers people from the Tutsi ethnic group, and this massacre has led to the death of nearly 8,000 people. And the French president and the French government at the year 1994 did not take many steps to prevent such a massacre. So, as the French government in the year 1994 did not take any effort to stop this massacre, the French president now is asking the people of Rwanda and asking the Tutsi group for their forgiveness. And with this, we have come to the end of the session. Inform about Addod Solutions initiative to your other aspirant friends. Thank you for watching.
Addod Solutions. Add-on desires.